What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to talk about, in fact, what we're going to talk about today is going to be one part of a three-part series, and it's going to be just a little me sat down talking to you and explaining what you should be doing. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is how should you train if you've just started bodybuilding, and then we're going to go into how you should train if you're intermediate and how you should train if you're an expert. Now, these are just my opinions. These aren't necessarily going to be 100% right, but these are what I think you should be doing, and these are what I would be prescribing to clients of mine if they came to me and they hadn't done much training, maybe sub a year, maybe sub 6 months of training, and what you should be focusing on. We'll break it down into diet, we'll break it down to training. That's really pretty much it. So first of all, the diet, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just make sure that you start to count your calories, download MyFitnessPal, and just learn what you're eating currently. Maybe you could work out how much protein you should be having, which is probably about 2.4 to 3.5 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body weight. So you take your body fat percentage, take that weight off, and then you do the sum. But it usually ends up around between 150 to 250 grams of protein, depending on your body weight and everything considering. So I would basically just make sure that you're getting your minimum amount of protein and then just counting calories, making sure you know how much you're intaking, and then just weighing yourself and just seeing how you react, how you gain or how you lose weight. And you know that you probably need to be in somewhat of a surplus because you're just starting and you need that extra food for the extra stimulus of training. So therefore you'd probably increase on what you're normally eating every day. So let's just say you just come to me, I would say track your food for a week, track your weight for a week, see how much you weigh at the beginning and the end, or see how much the average is. Maybe do this over 2 or 3 weeks so you can get an average trend of what your weight is doing, whether it's gaining or whether it is losing. And then from there, add or take away calories. That's the really easy way to do it. Just making sure you hit minimum protein, not worrying about carb timings, not worrying about when your fats are, just eating. Because the worst thing you can do is go from no stimulus to all the stimulus of, I've got this many fats, this many carbs, this many protein, oh, is my fiber okay, is my sugar intake okay? You need to think of all these things, but just later on in life, they're not so important when you're just starting. First of all, learn how to track. And when we move into training, I would say that the initial phase of training from the beginning is very much a skill acquisition phase, and you should be focusing on doing everything as much as you can, and for a lot of times. So that's in the most layman's terms. In reality, what you should be doing is focusing on lots of compound movements, mostly compound movements, hitting between, I would say, 8 and 15 reps for between 2 and 4 sets. And you'd be doing this 3 to 4 times a week in a full body movement manner, just making sure that you hit these movement patterns as much as you can, because we're trying to learn the movement patterns. There's no point going into a hack squat if you can't squat properly. There's no point going into an upside down leg press if you can't normal leg press properly. There's no point doing a sissy squat if you can't leg extension properly. So learn the fundamentals first. Do them a lot of times at a high frequency. Don't need to go crazy with the weights because any stimulus is going to make you grow anyway, but we will base ourselves around this focus of progressive overload, something that we need to consider at all times from the beginning of when we start training to the end of when we finish training, if we ever finish training, because if you're like me, you ain't never going to finish. So guys, focus on skill acquisition. Don't worry about your favorite exercises. Don't worry about ones you don't like. You might not like any of them because it all just hurts. But first, learn the movements. I can't say how important it is to learn the movements. Learn your squats, your benches, your deadlifts, and then learn a few variations, like your lat pull downs, your one arm rows, maybe your leg presses, all those kind of things, because they're all going to become handy later on when you move into that intermediate phase when things change. You need more volume, more frequency, all that kind of stuff. And then in terms of split, guys, like I said earlier, full body split 100%. If you don't have the physical capacity to do a full body split, maybe you could split up into an upper lower, but once you gain that basic fitness, I would definitely recommend a full body function, because you're eating everything 3 to 4 times a week, And then as you go along the timeline and increase volume, that's when you can start to split things. But relatively low volume, lots of compounds, lots of frequency, lots of skill acquisition, guys. This is all about learning and priming your body to gain muscle. That's it, guys. That's my 2 cents on how to train if you're a beginner. Stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Peace.